Hey, what's up guys? Gary coming back to you here from the Oldbarn Homestead. And I know just everybody's dying to hear about the weather update down here, and just probably about the same amount. Your interest level in the weather down here is probably about the same as my interest level in wherever you're watching this from. If it's cold and it's snowy, man, I really hate it for you. I really do. I'm not just being a jerk. And if it's like it is here, kind of overcast, but it's going to be like 70 degrees today. So finally got my truck back, and it was interesting. One of the things that I learned about this, now what the actual problem was on it, I'm not going to share on this video because it's, well, I'll just wait, and I think it's good enough to share it on its own video. But anyway, if you don't maintain your stuff, you'll pay for it eventually. And so with these wet roads and all this, it's a wonder I haven't wrecked this thing. It's running on some ball tires there. So I've got the thing has got a program in it now that eliminates the DPF. And the one thing I was going to say about it is that I didn't realize is that if the check engine light is on, that regen doesn't work. So the regen for the DPF, and it'll just sit there and just clog your entire DPF up for you if you drive it very long with a check engine light on it. And I had a check engine light on for quite a while. That was give me something about the ECU, but it showed no drivability issues. It never once hesitated or anything. So I mean, who hasn't done that? I just kept driving it, wait until see what happens. And so what it actually turned out to be, I'm not going to share right now, but it is running, and several $100s later, and it does have a program in it that eliminates the DPF. So I'm gonna put this off-road DPF delete pipe on there, because it's just off-road and we're never going to drive it on the highway anymore. So anyway, I got some stuff going on in here. I got a few jobs that have, things just kind of ebb and flow here. I mean, sometimes I don't get much in. Sometimes I get lots of stuff in. Sometimes I might go a week or two and not get anything in. And right now I just kind of got a flood of about, I don't know, 4 or 5 things to work on. Some of them are, decent little projects, moneymaker type things, and some of them are they really aren't. I probably will spend several hours and might make $100 off of it, but I'm not complaining. And when you guys, some people will watch my channel and go, gosh, you're always complaining. No, I really love what I do. I love doing this, and I love the struggle of it, if there is any. I love any, external factors and other people trying to, influence what I'm doing here. I mean, all of it, I really enjoy it. And, and because when you have little ups and downs or whatever, they just make you appreciate what you have and the good things that you have, and the freedom and the flexibility to kind of make your own decisions and do what you want to do, that kind of thing. I mean, I will say, I was in corporate America, but, I was, the positions I was in, I had a fair amount of latitude and, and what I could do. I mean, there were limitations here and there. But if you were smart enough and clever enough, a lot of limitations in corporate jobs and management is you get this limited pool of resources, and you're asked to do a whole bunch of work that usually is more than those people can do on a regular basis reasonably. So you just have to get creative about how you get that work done, and look for ways to maximize your team and that kind of thing. So I wasn't in a mode of just working for the man, so to speak. I mean, I had a fair amount of latitude to make decisions and do things within a few parameters. So I don't mean to complain about that, but not as much as I do now, and really decide, like one of the things I couldn't decide there a lot of times was what work we would take on or not. And you know, and so basically anything that our department was asked to do by the company, we just did it. You know, you just suck it up and do it. And if that meant everybody, you know, had to work overtime, a lot of salaried people, then that's what you had to do. Now here, when I get people either for one of two reasons, I may elect not to take work. One is, you know, is it a rabbit hole? You know, you go chasing down something and you can't really do well. You can't either do a good job for the customer because of, you know, the complexity of the job, or, you know, just it's the amount of time it would take for what it would cost. Like this lady contacted me about making a part of a replacement Italian chandelier. Now, I don't know how much it cost, but it was an expensive part, and it got lost when they moved, and they had two of them. So they had one of them was actually still good, and so they could give me that as a working model. And I just looked at it, and I thought, you know, that's probably going to take me a day and a half, you know, because it was quite a bit of manual fabrication, probably a little bit of some parts I could cut out on the plasma table, and then, you know, piece it all together and make it a replica, you know, as close as I could with what I have here. Part of it was like a pressed sheet metal piece, which I, you know, obviously can't do here, but you can kind of replicate that, you know, with a weldment fixture, you know, if you will. So anyway, I just said, look, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm probably going to have a day, and I'm probably going to end up having 2 days in that, but I would just charge you for like a day and a half's worth of work. And if it takes me 3 days, or it takes me, you know, 2 days or whatever, you know, I'll just charge you that amount. So $600 is what I told her. And it was like, oh, well, let me get back to you on that. You know, it was like, you know, so I could have said 300, you know, and then be working on something for 3-4 days. And, you know how that kind of stuff goes. So I just, you know, some of it you kind of automatically opt out of by the way you give a price to the customer, you know. And it's like, look, this is what I would charge. And if you really want this, I'll do it, but it's going to be this much. You know pretty well the customer's not going to pay that. But if they do pay it, then you know you're covered, right? You're covered. So anyway, guys, I'm not complaining about any of this stuff. Don't take it that way. Part of what this whole channel is about, my second channel here, the Oldbarn Homestead channel, is just kind of sharing you the details. You know, if you watch my other channel, I don't really ever say anything about the job or the pricing. A lot of the videos, I just kind of hammer through it and get the work done and show you the work. Some people may be interested in kind of, you know, how much I'm charging for something, you know, and those kind of things. So the one thing I was going to talk to you about is I got this. This is one of the things I got in. Now, let me get the tripod set up, and let's take a look at this thing, because I've not actually unboxed it. When it showed up here yesterday, I didn't even know what it was, because this was like a couple of weeks ago. This guy asked me, you know, if I'd be willing to do this. I told him, yeah, and he asked me for my address, and I didn't ever hear back from him. He didn't say, you know, okay, I'm going to ship it. It just kind of showed up here. So, first of all, it's packed in a towel, which is kind of interesting, with some stretchy cable, rope, some kind of rope here. You guys may remember this. This is an interesting part about this, is that, you know, I've done one of these. I actually did it twice. I did the original work, and the weld failed on it, and so I got to do it again. And I made videos on both of them. When I fixed my work, that was about 3-4 months ago, so you guys might remember that. But people watch certain things on videos on YouTube and go, man, I've been trying to get somebody around here to do this, and nobody around here will do it. And just looking at it, it looks like they did a pretty nice job on it. But let's take it over the bench and let's take a look and show you what this is. You guys may remember from the other video, it's a 350 or 300 ZX intake, and a common mod, I guess, to get you some more power, more flow, is, you know, you cut the top off of it, and there's, you see the milling that's been done, there's webbing that sticks up in here really tall, you know, and I guess it's some diffuser to get, you know, the airflow coming in and get it routed to the right ports. But I'm guessing that some way or another that's a restriction of airflow. Maybe it's if you have a boosted application, you don't really need those baffles, you know, because it's all pressurized, so you get equal distribution. And if it's naturally aspirated, maybe you need them. But anyway, I would say that in general they did a pretty nice job of cutting the top off, except for it looks like maybe when they were milling the inside out, they touched down right there with the end mill a couple times, and it looks like once right there. And then the guy told me in the message that they broke through the, you know, this is kind of interesting. When I did the other one, I actually went all the way down to the floor, and they've got maybe 20-30 thousandths. This is raised up above the floor of the intake. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know where I'm pointing it to. So when I milled the one out here, I actually went and milled the whole surface, and I came back and filed off the sharp corners there, you know, so that there was a radius transition in there, kind of like that. Not quite that much of a radius, but anyway, the one thing that happened was he was like, we cut this thing apart and milled it, but we went through in a whole bunch of places. So I don't know if you can see that, if it's showing up on camera, but look right there, right there, right there. And if you look at it on this side, I remember he sent pictures and I saw it. And it looks like just, you know, some really thin areas of the casting. You see how that, I don't know if that's showing up or not, but you can see how that kind of sinks in there. You know, and it's, I guess if I had done it, it would have happened to me too. But sometimes on this stuff, it's like people try to help you out. And Matt's friend, Matt, my son, is the other person I did one for, and he kind of did the same thing. He cut the top off of it thinking he was helping me, and the way he cut the top, man, it was a mess. I had a bunch of uneven gaps to try to fill in and all that. And sometimes you just, you know, people think they're helping, and you really just want to say to them, look, let me just do the whole thing. You know, you're not really saving yourself much, and you're creating extra work for me. Although I'll say in this case, you know, I probably would have had that same problem, because I think it's just a difference in a weakness in the casting and how it's made. So now I get to, I don't know, I guess I'm gonna weld up those holes here and make a top and weld that, and yeah. So anyway, you guys know the deal. People trying to, you know, like contact you about getting a bolt out of something, and they've already tried 16 times and they've made it way worse than it is. If they just said, hey, I got a bolt stuck, go ahead and get it out. Don't even try to get it out yourself. Just bring it to me, let me get it out, and don't break off an easy out into the middle of it or whatever. So anyway, guys, I hadn't made a video on this channel in a couple of days, so I got let me show you a preview of another one that I started making a video on it, and I started doing some of the work. This one here is kind of interesting. It's off the zero-turn mower deck, and the guy that owns it loaned it to someone, and he hit something hard in the ground and just completely sheared these bearing assemblies, or I'm not sure what you call these housing assemblies, but you know, they got the pulley system on the top side of the deck and the blades on the bottom. Just sheared off the bolts, and it cracked and damaged some of that cast aluminum or whatever that is. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one there. And I have so I got to get those out and get those decked off and leveled, maybe weld them and re-level and then re-drill, you know, mill and drill and tap, or may just, you know, mill them off flat, and depending on how much has broken off. And you see this one, it's not broken off of there. This one, the bolt sheared off of it, but the pad is still in good shape. But these, you know, it's busted some of that down. Just, I'm not sure how that happened like that. It looks like it just disintegrated it from the impact. So you know, theoretically I should weld all this up, build it up, and then mill it back off and drill and tap. But I'll just measure the you know, how much is off of it, and if it's just like the thickness of a washer or whatever, you know, or I may just make a little spacer on the lathe and weld it on, just as long as there's enough threads on there to hold it. I think there will be, without trying to have to TIG weld that casting right there, because that does not look like something that would be very fun to weld. An unknown, you know, metallurgy content. All right, guys, that's a little about what's going on out here. I got to get this DPF pipe coming on. Oh, and one other job. I got this guy coming today, actually. He's going to be here in just a little bit. That's why I'm going to get out here and get this knocked out before he gets here. But he's got this homemade van thing that he's trying to turn into a camper RV. He's trying to do it himself. I think he's retired, and he's built this drawer system that you pull out, and you get exposed to a toilet and a sink and some stuff. Well, he's got all the cabinetry part of that made that will slide out of the back of the van. But I think he's wanting help with the mechanism, you know, that would serve as the frame for this huge drawer that's super heavy, because it looked like he built it out of melamine, which is, God, that stuff is like so ridiculously heavy for what it is, you know. It's just a bad material to make something out of, in my opinion, unless you absolutely need it, you know. So, in fact, I got most of a sheet of it back here for, I was doing some concrete countertop forms out of it. Let me see this stuff right here. That white stuff, the particle board with the white veneer on it. But for certain things, I guess it is the right thing to use. All right, guys, see you.